I have a lot of literature on gardening, plants, and other topics that are buried in old literature, like this Flower and Garden magazine from September 1971. And I thought it would be interesting to read some of these articles, which are not readily accessible, and get them out there. So I'm going to start with an article called "It's Time to Start Geraniums from Cuttings" by Betty Brinhart. Now, this was written in September, so this is late summer. If you would like more geraniums in your landscape next spring, you can save hard cash spent on potted plants by putting your present geraniums to work right now. Late summer is the best time to take cuttings to develop into next spring's plants. From well-developed geraniums, you can cut branches back to within 3 inches of the main stem without endangering the parent plant. New leaves and shoots will soon appear, and before long, the plants will be in full bloom again. Drastic cutting back actually benefits geranium plants you intend to lift, pot, and bring indoors for winter bloom. Study plants before taking cuttings. Although all stems and branches will eventually root, some root quicker than others, producing better plants. Soft and spongy top growth should never be used for cuttings, as it often rots before rooting. Select relatively new branches and stems that have hardened slightly. Their leaves should be fully developed and growing close together. These root the quickest and produce the most compact plants. They may or may not have flower buds set. Cuttings should be 4 to 6 inches long, the base about 1/16 inch below a leaf node. As you work deeper into the plant, you will find short, woody branches that seem tempting. As a rule, woody cuttings do not root readily. If you need these, however, there is a quick way to root them, simply by removing all except topmost leaves and standing stems in glasses half full of water, about 5 to a glass. Always break off such woody cuttings flush with the main stem. They are more likely to root at the natural junction of branch and stem than at a hardened leaf node. Geraniums grown in too rich soil or in partial shade tend to become tall and lanky, with large gaps between leaf nodes. Cuttings from such geraniums produce plants just as tall and awkward as they are themselves. It is possible to use them, however, if you are willing to pinch the tops back sharply twice as new plants grow. I prefer to let cuttings heal after taking them. I lay them down on damp sand in heavy shade for 3 hours before planting. During this time, the cuts dry off nicely without the cuttings themselves wilting. This method seems to prevent stem rot and to promote quick rooting. You may also dip the ends in a rooting medium. The most convenient way to start a large number of cuttings is to insert them 1 1/2 inches deep in a large tray of damp sand. The sand is first firmed with a brick, then holes are made an inch apart in all directions. Insert a cutting into each hole and firm the sand well around its base. Then water the entire tray with a fine spray and place it in open shade on the north side of a building. Loosely cover the tray with cheesecloth or sheet plastic to maintain high humidity. This covering is not necessary, however, if cuttings are to be sprinkled every day. If you prefer to root cuttings in a greenhouse bench, plant each individually in a 2 1/2 inch flower pot using a soil mix consisting of 1 part leaf mold or compost, 2 parts good garden loam, 1 part sharp sand, and some crumbled, well-aged cow manure. Fill pots, then water well before planting. When the water drains, make a hole in the very center of each pot and insert a cutting, firm soil around the stem. If you are rooting your cuttings in pots outdoors, cover each potted cutting with a tumbler or jelly glass to maintain a moist atmosphere. The cuttings will be well rooted within 3 weeks, at which time the tumblers should be removed. If cuttings have been rooted in shade, introduce them to direct sunlight gradually. Bring indoors to a sunny window and to the greenhouse bench at least 2 weeks before expected frost. Transplant to larger pots as growth progresses. Don't hesitate to pinch back long side shoots to form more compact plants, and water only when the surface soil feels dry. Give a liquid fertilizer once a month during winter. If you have rooted your cuttings in a tray of damp sand, pot and care for them the same way. 3 weeks before all danger of frost is past, place these new plants in a cold frame for hardening off before transplanting outdoors. When the weather has settled, remove plants carefully from their pots and plant them in beds, borders, or in window boxes. In warm sections of the country, cuttings may simply be inserted into the damp earth behind a dense shrub and watered daily. After rooting, they may be potted for indoor bloom or planted in outdoor beds or borders.